The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. Today's guest and their company are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial.
So first off, thank you for doing this. For people who don't know you, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, I'm Britni Brown. I'm the CEO and president of the Better Business Bureau.
Okay. So before you were kind of in the world of the Better Business Bureau, what were you doing? What have you been doing kind of all these years?
So in 2015, I opened up a photography business. I was doing that this whole time. I still have my photography business. And so I think, what is that, almost 11 years?
Okay.
So I was a photographer.
Yeah. What types of photography were you doing?
I pretty much did everything except for newborns. Newborns was not my favorite.
No.
But weddings, boudoir, headshots, branding, marketing, those types of things, families, that I was super passionate about.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think the newborn photography is it's its own world.
It is.
I had no idea anything about professional photography before we had kids. And like, complete side note.
Were you in a room and did you sweat because it was so warm?
Our first one, no, we didn't do like a super cute like cocoon like one. It was like our first child was like right when COVID started, and so like we probably would have done like those specific ones. And it was very much of like, hey, let's meet in a park. Mm-hmm. Do you have a blanket? I'll like walk you through how to do it. I did probably the worst job I've ever done. And she's like, this is great. And I'm like, okay. I mean, she was a really sweet girl. She was amazing.
I love that.
But it was very much of like, we sent these photos to our family members and they were like, oh, that's super cool. Can I get the ones that like make the baby look like a baby? And not like a pupae, I don't know, or whatever the scientific term would be. Okay. So what were you trying to build for like your brand, or what were you trying to build for your business as a photographer?
So my story with photography is super interesting as well. At that time, when I first started, I was really just trying to, this is going to sound terrible, but I was trying to do something where I wasn't at home all day just with my child, because I like connection, I like people. At the time, my husband was in the oil field, and so he was gone, and I was at home. And I was like, well, I got to do something. So I was like, well, I'll do photography, because I did that in college and I did that in school. And then, it just started developing into something. By month 2, I was like, I'm loving this. This is awesome. And then the oil field crashed, and he was home. And nobody had a job except for me and my impromptu photography business.
Right.
So it turned to a business really quickly for me. Because at that point, we had bills to pay, and I needed to hustle.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where that big push came.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, necessity is a pretty good breeding ground for growing a business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You learn things really quickly out of necessity.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what happened. And within 6 months, the push and hustle was so great that I opened up my first studio.
Oh, wow. Where was kind of your moment for like, you're growing this business, you're having to make it work? What was the thing like where you're like, I'm going to have some real success with this? Or where did it feel a little bit risky, would you say?
I believe that once, my, at the time, husband was home and not working, that's when it got really real, because we both had car payments. We both had, there were bills that had to be paid. So it got real quick. Yes, I started taking some courses just to kind of brush up on stuff, to make sure that, I'm pricing this right. They're getting a good product. And I really just started hustling, and a lot of that was with marketing.
No. Was there like a really early moment where you were able to start paying all your bills through this way, or was it like 3 months, 6 months where it really started to make sense? Or
my strategy was, we would sit down and decide, well, this is the bill that's due next, and that was the basis of my mini session.
Really?
I need X amount of people to not just pay this bill, but to exceed this bill. And I kind of started structuring it in that way. And then before long, I didn't even have to, categorize anything. I just started marketing mini sessions, marketing photography, and doing it with the information that I had. Pricing was a deal for me. You get this imposter syndrome where, when do you call yourself a professional?
Right.
I didn't know. So I was really struggling. Do I call myself a professional photographer? I mean, I've taken the courses. I self-taught most of what I knew. But when do you consider yourself a professional? Gotcha. And so pricing was difficult for me because, I didn't want to price myself unless I was worth it. And then I was like, well, when do you know when it's worth it? And so I kind of went through a little transition in that moment. And that honestly was in like the first 6 months of my business.
Yeah. I think a lot of business owners kind of go through that like early phase, especially if they're doing it for themselves. Like
Yes.
They're the ones actually conducting the business. They're the ones who are actually providing the service. They have trouble with setting prices. Like there's like a weird like thing in the back of your brain, like that seems like a
Right.
lot. I can't possibly
Right.
ask that.
And unfortunately, a lot of it really is self-reflective of how we feel about ourselves.
Sure.
Do we think really highly of ourselves, or
Yeah.
are we thinking really poorly of ourselves, or what's the happy medium in there? So then once you actually, okay, well, this is a business and I need to run it as a business. Let's see what the rules are for running a business. And then you start to learn more about overhead and what logistically that looks like. And then that's what helped me take the pressure off of myself. Instead of running a business on what I feel like it's worth, let's run a business based on hard numbers.
Yeah. I mean, it's the only way you're going to get real.
Exactly.
Make it feel real. Like, yeah, that's
Exactly.
exactly what this actual service costs. Something that you are underestimated about a business or running a business.
So being underestimated is something that I've come up with most of my life.
Okay.
But I enjoy that. It doesn't bother me when somebody underestimates me. Gotcha. And so that is a really big push for me to make sure that I do well and exceed.
Who was the ones kind of out there like, oh no, she's nobody? Like, who was that for you?
A lot of people.
Really?
Family, people that I've known growing up, people that also owned businesses. But, honestly, that's going to be anywhere and everywhere.
Really?
And so I think that even in the job that I'm in now, not everybody thinks that I possess the ability to make things happen, but those are people that don't really know me.
Yeah.
People that know me know, like, if Britni has her mind on it, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think you use some of that as fuel?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely, yes.
Spite.
Absolutely.
You're like, I'm mostly running on
Please
spite
tell
this
me
week.
that I cannot do something so that I not only do it, but I exceed everyone's expectation for anybody. Very much so. Please tell me I can't do something, because I will do it.
Okay. I mean, hey, it's good to know about yourself.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Finding what's going to be the motivating factor, that drive, is really powerful.
Yes.
And so, yeah, whatever gets it done.
Yes. And then something I underestimated about in business was the balance, the time, the family, the business, the client, the children, the marriage, all the things. I underestimated the ability to do all things.
Gotcha.
Because I like to do all things and do all things well.
Okay.
And unless you are putting up some good boundaries, you're not going to be able to do that.
Gotcha.
So I definitely underestimated that part.
So the balance between how like your business kind of interacts with all the other responsibilities that
Correct.
you have, all the family. Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you work for yourself, it's very much of you're always working.
Yes.
Like it's
I'm a powerhouse.
always on your mind. Yeah.
I want to get it done and I want to do it
Sure.
well. And so it's always kind of rolling around in my brain.
Yeah.
And I kind of have this little, ADH brain anyways.
Yeah.
And so making sure I complete a task and complete it and not just start a task and then go on to another task, that was something I had to learn as well.
Yeah.
Because when I first started, I was not good at that. I was good at starting a bunch of things and getting a lot of things started, but not completing a lot of items.
I kind of wonder, what did I wake up and think about for like 2 hours at like 2 or 3 in the morning before I started being in
Yeah.
business for myself? I know what it is now.
Yeah. For real.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. Like you just kind of have like I have this weird new gear where as soon as like you wake up in the middle of the night, you're like, oh, well, what? Let me think about all the things I can't control right now.
100%.
Let's think about everyone who I intend to email tomorrow. The 9,000 things on my to-do list tomorrow. And somewhere around 4 or 5, I'm like, all right, I'll get an extra hour or 2 of sleep and really get after this.
Right.
Being a parent of young children, I think is a great way to, you combine those two, you're always up at 2.
Yeah.
You have a lot of time in the middle of the night when other people are just
Yes.
resting that you can be
and
fretting.
you know that you're not well when you have
Sure.
the notepad next to your bed,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, let me write that down
Sure.
because I don't want to forget it.
Yeah, no, it's like this is an ingenious idea. Yeah, the amount of scribbled writing you can
Yes.
find in the next morning. Yeah, I
Yes.
can relate to that for sure. All right, so what was something that you maybe something that you thought about or kind of went through or just accepted early on that you'd push back a lot on today?
So I think that early on, I was under the impression that I needed to be everything for everyone,
Okay.
including, my family and my friends and my clients and my children and all of those areas. And I was really pouring from an empty cup. Saying no was something that I thought was a problem. In business, I thought, well, if they want this, I need to do that. And learning now I would push back on being able to say no.
Really?
Being able to not be everything to everyone and really prioritizing those things. And again, it goes back to boundaries, putting up boundaries of, well, this is what I do, and if you want this, it's going to cost extra, instead of just trying to accommodate everybody.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of I think trying to figure out where I used to, like you want to do everything. Someone walks through your door is like willing to do business with you. You're like, I want to fix
Yes.
everything for you. Don't worry, I'll take it all on myself. And kind of learning where I add value has been like kind of like a rocky road of just like, oh yeah, this is what I should be saying yes to, not because I'm trying to say no or be less busy or whatever it may be. Is like, no, this is the thing I'm really good at. This is where you actually want to talk to me about,
Right.
and where I should be sending you to someone else. So
And having enough confidence to say,
Yeah.
this photographer does a much better job at this, go see her.
yeah,
Go see this person. Because, when I first started, I really tried to do newborn photography, and it was just not, it was not something I enjoyed. And being able to be okay with sending that business to somebody else, that was life-changing for me.
Yeah.
Let me send you to people that are going to make you happy and that are going to give you exactly what you want. And then that really took a lot of stress off of myself.
yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so which part of running your business was natural for you?
Connecting with people was incredibly natural for me. I love talking to people. I love helping people. That is super, super easy for me.
Yeah. Which part was the parts that you learned the hard way?
Saying no.
Okay.
I had to learn that the hard way. Learning that it is okay to say no. Learning that not everybody's going to like me. And I did not like that because I'm a people pleaser. And I want to make everybody happy. And I want to do right for everybody. But that's not reality.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of that kind of goes back to people's like childhoods? Like we were kind of from generations where you weren't really allowed to have a conversation. Like it
Yes.
was very much like you were ordered around, like you were safe and good and all that if you were providing what we told you to do right then. And like kind of part of becoming the adult is like kind of like undoing a little bit of that.
Yes.
It's just like, hey, I need to be my own person. I do actually have freedom in this moment and I need to act on that. I don't know.
Yes, 100%. I think that, while I'm thankful for the way that I was raised, I also think that, my parents had very strong opinions on what they wanted me to do
Yeah.
and who they wanted me to be. And so didn't have a lot of room to express, who I was or who I wanted to be or my own little personality. And so it wasn't until I became, an adult that I was able to kind of start, feeling that out of, okay, what do I actually want to do?
Right.
What do I actually want to be? What do I actually want to, I had that freedom to figure that out. But at the same time, it's kind of inside of me to, make these people happy.
Yeah. What were they gunning for you to be?
So my dad really wanted me to be a teacher.
Really?
Yes. And
What
so
kind of, like, did he have, like, mapped out, like,
No.
you will be a history teacher of 7th grade?
He knew I loved children, and I do.
Okay.
I love children, and so his thought was, you know what, you need to go to college, and you need to have an education. And so I did. I graduated from Hardin-Simmons University with a bachelor's in behavioral science, and I was like, you know what, my dad knows me. He knows best. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a teacher. And after the first year, it was not for me.
What'd you teach?
I taught kindergarten.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. And then at some point, I also taught pre-calculus.
Of
So
course.
I'm really good with numbers.
Like
Love
you
numbers.
would. Okay, really?
But, I was young when I graduated. I was, I think 21 when I graduated, and I went right into teaching.
Yeah.
And so, it's just, they didn't know if I was a student or
Sure.
a teacher, and it was just a weird dynamic. I love children, but I quickly realized, the motivation that I have, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And so that led me to, a different path. But that's what he wanted. He wanted me to be an educator. And, fortunately, I did learn how to educate. And you can be an educator in any kind of sense.
Yeah. I did the exact same thing. So graduated from Hardin-Simmons, I was about 21.
Okay.
And I went and I was a teacher at Cooper. And I had graduated in 3 years just because I came in with some dual credit classes and AP tests and things like that. I started teaching freshmen, and there were seniors who were like on my soccer team still. Who
Wow.
like I kind of like knew, but
Yeah.
luckily I had no life, so it wasn't like weird.
Right.
It was just like, I think I recognize that kid. Oh, that's right. And so that was super weird. But
It
yeah,
is.
how did you build your business kind of so quickly as a photographer?
I think a lot of it goes back to the push that out of necessity. It really forced me to focus. It forced me to really hone in on actually running it like a business and not just a hobby. But passion also, I really enjoyed. I loved photography. I've always enjoyed being creative and doing those types of things. And so the passion mixed in with the appropriate information, it really just pushed me to accelerate really quickly. And then once I was able to acquire a studio, that put me in a whole other level.
Really?
And then within 6 months, I outgrew the studio, moved into a larger studio. I was there for a year.
Where was the original studio?
The original studio, it was in the Cockrell building,
Okay, where's that?
downtown
Okay.
on North 2nd.
Okay.
North 2nd and Cypress, so just right down here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then my second studio was right here behind Beehive, so North 4th and Hickory. And that was a great space.
Really?
Learned a lot there. And then I was able to outgrow that and go to what, in my mind was, my dream studio. It was beautiful. Oh, it was beautiful. And that one was in Lytle Way, over there before you get to Shotwell.
Yeah.
There's a Dollar General, and then there's a little collection.
Yes.
Crown Plaza.
Okay.
It's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
Beautiful space. And
Really?
so I think just those things mixed together with my personality of connecting with people, loving what I do, and making sure that I'm educated on, the business part of it, it just kind of catapulted me into something successful.
Yeah. Kind of like nuts and bolts, kind of. How were you early getting clients? I mean, obviously, it is a bit of a luxury industry. It is something that you're asking people to invest in this service that you're providing. What were kind of those early days for, like, how were you getting people in? Was it just like, please let me take your picture
Yes.
so that I can put this on? Like, I would imagine like it's like, hey, I want to put these pictures and some of my work up on my site or my social media, show kind of what I could do. How did it grow?
Well, I did a really interesting workshop in the photography industry, and it was talking about how, you want to be sure that you price yourself appropriately in the early stages. And my thought process was, okay, I'm going to start out, for X amount of, like 2 months, they're going to be lower. And then after that, we're going to jump to regular pricing. Whether I feel ready or not, that's what we're going to do. Yeah. My first wedding I did for free. I used those early sessions that I did and the free wedding as marketing. And then I just blasted out posts. I was posting every day on social media. I was very involved in all things that was related to photography. I also was donating my time to a lot of nonprofit organizations, because even in those moments, you're making connections, you're talking to people. So that helped a lot. Just getting my name out there, getting in front of people. You know, if somebody saw me, I usually had a camera in my hand.
Really? That's awesome. Okay, so kind of moving on to what you're doing a bit more of now. So you went from, I'm completely out on my own, I'm building this photography kind of business. What made you take a job?
So I've had a lot of people ask me this question. Yeah. COVID was a great year for me. I was very busy. My business did not start slowing down until I would say about 2023. Not a lot of people know this about me, but I was going through a divorce. Okay. And with that came a lot of different things for me. Restructuring of my household, restructuring of my finances. And so more was required to function the way that my kids are used to it functioning. And so that required working more, which is not a problem, but the industry as a whole was different. Wedding industry specifically, we went from doing 35 to 40 weddings a year to people going more towards elopements. We're still doing 20 plus weddings a year, but less large local weddings and more elopements. Okay. And so I saw a little shift in that. I was a luxury business, so people are a little bit more hesitant on where they're spending their money. So the families that were getting photos done every year were now getting photos done every other year. So there was a little slow in that. And there was just a natural slowdown and decline of business. And so having 2 children, I thought, well, I need something that's a little steady for them. So I started applying for jobs. My pride, was gone. I thought, owning a business is the height of my life career. That's the highest that you can be. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. But at the time I was in my life, that wasn't a possibility for me anymore. And so a job opening came up for the Better Business Bureau, and I sent in my application. I got a call within 15 minutes of submitting my resume. Wow. And so I had my interview and was called in for a second interview and accepted the job. Yeah. And that was in August of 2025.
Wow. I think that first 6 months or so that I was out on my own, I was like, I kept meeting a lot of people who had also similarly, I don't know, for whatever reason, whenever I got out of teaching and decided to go into finance, a lot of people that I just kept meeting had just changed careers as well. And there was a lot of people who had kind of gone like out on their own. They were in business for themselves, things like that. 6 months in, I was like, oh man, if I ever don't do that, I mean, that's just going to be the biggest loss ever. And like a year or two would go by, and I'd be like, and I'd like see some of those friends, and they took jobs and things like that. I was like, oh man, I bet life is so comfortable. Like, I bet life is actually awesome, and it is. Like, I mean, it was just like one of those. It was like, oh, okay, cool. You just like go, and they just like pay you to do this job again. Like, it's like almost like you go back around. You're like, that sounds great. Actually, like you just show up. What?
Well, yeah. I found, I hadn't been in the corporate world in over 10 years. Yeah. I'd been hustling, and I'm the source of income for a while. And so when I first started working and I got my first paycheck, I was like, oh wow. And I get another one? Like, what?
In like 2 weeks?
Yes. What? Okay. So that was exciting. My kids were like, yay.
Right. We're going to eat this week and next? This is crazy.
I know. So I was like, okay, well, here we go. So that was just, still doing both. Yeah. And it it was very similar to what you're saying. Like, okay, well, we're showing up and we're working and we're
Yeah.
going to get a paycheck. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I just think it's something like most people won't go into business for themselves. And most people will just imagine that when someone goes on and does something on their own, that they're just like instantly successful just because like you don't see them on the side of the highway, I guess. I don't know. And like there's so many people in business who are absolutely struggling through those first 5 years
Yes.
or beyond. And it's like they have some really great times, and then like other times, you know, they're having some really not great times.
Yes, and it's one of those mountain high and valley low ways of living.
Yeah.
And so I think that, you know, God really orchestrated me to be able to have the experience in a business that I have, and I'm able to apply it to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And so it does bring me with a different perspective that I wouldn't have had unless, you know, I went through the entrepreneurial pathway that I chose to go on.
Yeah. So it also interests me that you ended up taking a job in a group that really does actually help a lot of individual businesses. So
Yes.
like that's kind of a cool, I don't know, pivot almost more so than anything. So can you tell me a little bit about what the Better Business Bureau does?
Yes. So, you know, when I took on the job, that was my thought process as well. You know, I love business. I love talking business. I love helping business owners. I love inspiring people to, you know, build their business, start their business. And we kind of touched briefly, starting your business is really difficult. And one of the first steps is just, you know, getting out there and starting it. And a lot of people do not take that step because it is a reflection of failure. What if it doesn't work? What if my idea is bad? And so they go ahead and cut themselves before they even get the opportunity to start, simply because they're afraid to fail. And so going from that to where I'm at now of, okay, I want to help these businesses, it was, to me, it just made sense. If I'm going to have to take another job, then I want it to be in the business realm. Because the Better Business Bureau has two very specific aspects that we cater to. We cater to consumers, but we also cater to businesses. And so it just happens that I was a business owner, and I'm very in tune and hone in on the business aspect of it, but we do have two specific avenues. And so to the consumers, the BBB is a trusted place to find reliable information, and basically we can help them if something goes wrong. The other avenue that we have is for businesses, and for businesses, we're a partner, not a parent or punishment or anything like that. We're helping them build trust. We help them resolve issues fairly and quickly, and we help them stand out for doing things the right way. And so that's a really short excerpt of what we do.
Okay. How is it structured? Is it a for-profit organization, nonprofit? What is the Better Business Bureau?
So the way I like to talk about it, it's a not-for-profit organization.
Yeah.
We are a 501c6.
Okay.
And so we're not necessarily classified as a non-profit, but we are classified as a not-for-profit organization.
Okay. So what is being a member of the BBB do for businesses?
So there's a lot of things that it does for businesses. Over the last few years, we haven't had as much education on what that looks like. And so I feel like I'm in the perfect spot for that because I love to talk and I love to educate. One of the obvious things that we do is we help businesses we'll accredit them. There is a lengthy process to that. You have to be invited. First of all, it's not just any business can become accredited. We look for businesses that are demonstrating sound business practices. We have 8 standards of trust. So we go through we have about 13,000 businesses in our big country area, which is the counties that we serve. And so we look for businesses that hit those 8 bullet points. And when we find those businesses, we collect them. We do a little bit more investigation, word of mouth, reviews, those types of things. And once we've verified and I've been given authorization, I'll reach out to that business and say, hey, I've been authorized to invite you to apply for accreditation. And when I say apply, you literally apply. I ask you a bunch of questions. I take it to the board, and the board is like, oh yes, this is a good business. We'll put our brand on this business. Right. And so we put our brand on the business, and that lets consumers know that this business has been vetted. They're ethical. They're hitting the 8 standards of trust. The other thing that we offer businesses is mediation. Let's say they have a complaint or they're having an issue and they're having a really hard time navigating that and dealing with that. They pull us in, we're the middleman, and we kind of help them, walk through that process. There's complaints that come in all the time, and so we kind of get in and help, make sure the consumer is getting their answers and that the business is, providing those answers, but also there's a bridge there for accountability and grace. Not everybody's going to have the best day.
Right.
And so sometimes a business might drop the ball, but it's really in how they respond to the problem that says a lot about that business.
Gotcha. Okay. So we've been kind of living the last 10, 15 years, kind of been a little bit more of a time period that we've been really shifting towards Yelp reviews.
Mm-hmm.
We've been really shifting towards Google, things that have a really low barrier of entry. Do you think that being a member of the Better Business Bureau means more now or less?
I think it means more now. So Google reviews are great. The one problem that a lot of business owners, and that I have experienced myself with Google reviews, is anybody can write a review, whether they've worked with you or not.
Correct.
Whether they are, a disgruntled employee, or somebody's just having a bad day, or somebody is just tactfully trying to sabotage your business. And so we do have reviews on the Better Business Bureau portal, the business profile, but we have a reviews department. And so we actually go to that person and make sure they're actually a client of that business. That way, we don't have competitors writing fake reviews, disgruntled employees writing fake reviews. We'll talk with the business owner. We received a review. Can you tell us a little bit about this? Is this a real client? That way, we're not posting and publishing reviews that are fake or misleading, because we want real information. We want real experiences, not somebody's mad in the moment and they're just trying to take this person down.
Yeah, that seems like a little bit more of what we're needing. Kind of when it comes to anything related to the internet, related to what's on Google, related to whatever, it's kind of hard to know where to trust. Where maybe like when we were a bit more ignorant, maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
An Amazon review was pretty gold. Oh
Right.
man, that's got 4 out of 5.
Right.
I better get that product. It seems really good. People are going crazy for it. And kind of now you're like, okay, how many bots were involved with this? And then on, of course, the local level, it is more like you're saying, maybe it is disgruntled employees. Maybe it is competition trying to, seed some bad word of mouth. The one good thing, though, as far as Amazon reviews go, as far as Google reviews, as far as all those, is there's a lot of opportunity to talk about good things for those businesses.
Absolutely.
Does Better Business Bureau also have that kind of portal where it's like, hey, here are a lot of really great reviews, or do mostly people go on Better Business Bureau to complain about a business?
So, unfortunately, a lot of people don't know there's a review section for businesses. And so that's something that I've really been trying to let people know is if you have a good experience with a business, they can write a review or a complaint. And so we do have a lot of complaints coming in. We have a lot of negative reviews coming in, but we have a lot of positive reviews coming in now that people know that they have the ability to say something positive.
Gotcha.
And so that's why, I think the review system is it's about 3 years old in the Abilene Better Business Bureau business profile. When it was in the works, people weren't really sure, well, how's this going to work? Do they want reviews? Do they want just complaints? What do people want to look at? Well, for me personally, when I'm looking at a business, I don't mind seeing complaints. I don't mind working with a business that has a complaint. What I want to see is how did they respond to that complaint?
Gotcha.
And then the reviews, it just is an emotional experience is what reviews are. People give reviews based on what they're feeling at that moment, whether it's good or whether it's negative. And so I love that we have incorporated both of them, because now that people are starting to understand we have reviews, we're seeing a lot more positive come in, which gives a really good snapshot of that particular business. You can see the positive, and then you can look, do they have complaints? No. Or yes, they have 2, but they've got good reviews and 2 complaints, but they actually handled those complaints and will on the bbb.org, it'll show, how the business handled the complaint. And so it gives you a broader spectrum, a broader approach at choosing a business, because now you've got both sides of the coin.
Gotcha. So I feel like Better Business Bureau had a lot of influence and people really understood what you guys did 10 or 20 years ago. How are you trying to combat that and try to kind of educate a younger generation on why it's a good thing to be a part of the organization, or why you should be looking at you guys?
So, and I agree with that. We still get a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
And you can tell, there's a certain generation that prefers to make that phone call. But when we pull up our insights on our website, over 100,000 people are reaching out to us asking for businesses. Wow. And it is from all ages, the very young ones to the older ones. And so I know that we're still relevant, but I think personally and locally within our community, it's all in a matter of being more visible, having a louder voice, providing more opportunities for businesses, and providing more resources for our businesses. We really just are looking to become as much a part of the community, and partnering with our other organizations like the Chamber, the SBDC, and other organizations like that to really make an impact, not just for our consumers, not just for our businesses, but really for our community. The Better Business Bureau has the perfect recipe to help the Abilene and Big Country community, for our consumers and for our businesses.
That's awesome. So you're at the helm now. You're kind of running the show. What do you want to change? What do you want to grow?
So I'm really thinking that the shifting that I'm wanting to see is the narrative. I want us to go from fear-based and worry about, the Better Business Bureau is calling, to, the Better Business Bureau is calling. We want to reach out to our businesses and ask them, what do you need help with? Where are you struggling? What resources do you need? How can we be a part of helping you get what you need? How can we give more clarity to consumers? How can we get consumers to the appropriate businesses? I have a really good foundation to start on here in Abilene, but the things that I want to build are more connection, more people-driven. And when I say people-driven, that is consumer and business alike. And really just being as much of our community as we can possibly. There's a lot of things that I have, in my brain that I want to step out and create. But, I've got to start slow. I have to start, restructuring certain aspects. And then, as those take shape, we can add more and more to it.
Awesome. What is something that you are excited about right now?
Something I'm excited about right now. I'm really excited about the new relationships that I've come in contact with. Within the last, 3 weeks, I've had, probably 5 really amazing meetings with some really awesome people in our community. Just some good connections of, this is what we do, how can we help you? And then that opened up a great dialogue for, how we can help this business. And, it just kind of pushes our future into community development and really just creating a better community as a whole.
What is something that you're working on right now? This could be personal, it could be professional. What's just something that's kind of on your mind that you're working on?
So the Better Business Bureau does an annual event every year. And this to me is one of my most favorite things. I love planning a good party.
Okay.
But it's more than just, a good party. This is where our accredited business comes in. Even unaccredited businesses, they can come as well. But it's a fundraiser. We're a not-for-profit organization. And so we are fundraising. And that's something that I'm working really hard on. It's not until June, but I'm obviously a planner. And so I started getting things together. I've got some really amazing partnerships that are kind of brewing. And in addition to those partnerships, it's growing into more than just the fundraiser. And so that's probably one thing that I'm really excited about right now.
That's awesome. Where can we follow more of what you're doing with the Better Business Bureau? Where can we kind of hear more from you?
So, of course, you can always look at our bbb.org,
Okay.
but our Facebook is probably our most genuine voice locally.
Yeah.
So, you can check out our stories there. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I put a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. We're still growing our social media and our platforms. We currently only have one platform.
Okay.
But just follow the Facebook. I'll let you know when things change.
Okay.
Because I love Facebook. I love letting people know what's happening, what we've got going on, all the new stuff that we have. And more than anything, I really love shouting out our new businesses. When we have new businesses that become accredited with us, I like to shout them out, follow them, give them love, that kind of stuff.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this.
You're welcome.
This is great.